Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Doug. In today's episode we're going to be discussing 3 games from the Week 4 Sunday slate of the 2023 NFL season. So for this episode I picked out the first London game between the Falcons and the Jaguars, the Steelers versus the Texans, and the Chargers versus the Raiders. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action, starting with the London game. Starting with the Falcons. There is one question coming out of this game, and that is it time for a change at quarterback? Is Tyler Heinicke time upon us? Should the Desmond Ridder experiment end? Have the Falcons given Ridder enough of an opportunity to assert himself as the franchise quarterback? So, a lot of questions coming out of that one, but pretty much they could all be summed up by the one on the screen. The roster for the Falcons is far too talented to be held back by one position. During Sunday's contest, Ridder would throw a pair of bad interceptions. His pocket presence has been marginal. He struggles to push the ball down the field. He stared down receivers during the game. He simply hasn't shown the ability to effectively run Arthur Smith's offense at a high level. If the second-year single color plays mistake-free football, the Falcons are good enough elsewhere to grind out victories. However, the margin of victory is so small that any mistake leaves the Falcons too far behind most opponents. Taylor Heinicke, the backup, is an experienced veteran with 25 career starts, and he has plays with some creativity and playmaking ability. The 30-year-old already makes more this season than Ridder after he signed a 2-year, $14 million contract this offseason. At this junction, the Falcons are basically wasting the talents of Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. The NFC South is still wide open. The Falcons can still win this division, but perhaps not with the level of quarterback play they have received so far this season. So Ridder did have a bad game, but he had a bad game, but he hasn't quite played great this season. The best thing the Falcons have had going for them is their running game on offense. Elsewhere, their passing game, while there is talent there, just hasn't quite taken off. So perhaps time is now for a change at quarterback. I don't have a definitive answer for that question, but I would understand if Arthur Smith makes a change. Jacksonville Jaguars defense steps up in this game, coming alive just in time for a tough stretch before their bye. So while Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Micah Parsons are the top 3 players in the Defensive Player of the Year category, or top 3 candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, the Jaguars' Josh Allen should be a part of that conversation. During the game against the Falcons, Allen would sack Ridder on 3 different occasions and force a fumble. It's the second time this season that Allen has recorded a 3-sack game. Granted, the 26-year-old defender didn't register any during the first 2 contests sandwiched between those contests, but he has the potential to take over for a unit that ranked 18th overall going into the game against the Falcons. Jacksonville had Atlanta 287 yards. Aside from Bijan Robinson being special in creating in space, the Falcons' offense was held in check. A pair of interceptions, including a pick 6, stymied a stagnant Falcons passing game. This performance will allow the Jaguars to build momentum after a disappointing 1-2 start. First, the team stays in London to practice and await next week's meeting with the Bills. The following week is a division rivalry contest with the Colts. That could be for the division lead depending on upcoming results. Next are the Saints and Steelers with 2 teams with struggling offenses. With an ascending defense, the Jaguars can go on a run and take control of the AFC South before hitting their bye week. Pittsburgh Steelers. Injuries are piling up on offense, and it might derail this offense that is already struggling. So the NFL season is a war of attrition. The Steelers know this better than any team at this moment. Kenny Pickett would suffer a knee injury in the 3rd quarter, and he's scheduled for an MRI to discover the exact extent of the injury. At quarterback, the Steelers do have a veteran backup in Mitchell Trubisky. However, the same can't be said for left tackle or tight end. Dan Moore, offensive tackle, suffered a knee injury and didn't return. The Steelers are already prepared to replace Moore by drafting Project Jones, 14th overall, this past draft. So Jones now has an opportunity to secure the job and not look back, though his performance in place of Moore can be described as shaky at best. Pat Freiermuth tied in, meanwhile left the contest with a hamstring injury. Soft tissue injuries have a habit of lingering. If Freiermuth misses extended time, the Steelers will rely on third-round rookie Darnell Washington, and that mammoth of a human can be more than just a blocker and potentially provide a threat over the middle of the field. The Steelers' offense still hasn't found its rhythm this year, and it's hard to imagine that they will be able to do so without their quarterback, one of their starting tackles, and their starting tight end. So, yeah, things not looking up for Steelers. Bad loss to the Texans, and while their defense is playing good and TJ Watt's having a great season, it's not going to be enough. Houston Texans. So there is something special happening in Houston. CJ Stroud, I think we can go ahead and crown him as the league's best rookie quarterback. And from a rookie perspective, his passing yards through his first 4 starts are the second most ever. During the game against the Steelers, Stroud sliced and diced the Steelers secondary with 306 passing yards. And amazingly, he still hasn't thrown an interception. He is leading his team, making tough throws, not forcing passes, and improving on a weekly basis. But an individual can still play well while his team struggles. In the Texans' case, they've now won 2 in a row after an 0-2 start. Those wins coming against the Jaguars and the Steelers. Since every team in the AFC South currently owns a 2-2 record, very much division up for grabs. This Texan squad, led by Stroud, could be the most dangerous of the bunch in that group. Texans can go on a run. I don't know how far of a run they can go, but I mean, they can go on a run. Jaguars can go on a run. Colts kind of hit a bit of a roadblock, but the Titans could also go on a run too. They had a big victory over the Bengals as well. AFC South, it's got some life in it. It does. Las Vegas Raiders. Well, offensive line struggles. Certainly did Aiden O'Connell in this game no favor. He got sacked 7 times, 5 of those from Khalil Mack. So yeah, rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell would make the start in place of Jimmy Garoppolo, who did not clear concussion protocol. Though he experienced ball security issues with 3 fumbles, losing 2 of them, his offensive line didn't give him much help. I talked about Khalil Mack registering 6 sacks. My bad, I thought it was 5. It was actually 6. O'Connell would take 7 sacks in total. Through 4 weeks, the Raiders' offensive line has struggled to clear running lanes for Josh Jacobs. Over the last 2 weeks, the Steelers and Chargers have bullied Vegas' offensive line, logging 11 sacks combined. In particular, right tackle Jermaine Eluemunor, butchered that one, but he hasn't held his own on the edge against top-tier pass rushers. For the Raiders to turn their season around offensively, they either must employ more max protection or make some other change to their pass protection scheme to allow whoever starts under center more time in the pocket, as the Silver and Black have yet to score more than 18 points in a game this season, and some of that blame does fall on the offensive line. Los Angeles Chargers. So, Week 5 buys. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. For the Chargers, it came just in time. So the Chargers will go into their bye wounded and beat up. An AFC West matchup against the Raiders, they didn't have Austin Eckler, Derwin James, or Joey Bosa. But still, Los Angeles managed to beat Las Vegas, but Justin Herbert suffered an injury to his left hand and finished the game with a glove on it. So after an 0-2 start, the Chargers have put together consecutive wins, but to sustain their momentum coming out of the bye, they need a couple of their key starters healthy. Herbert needs the rest following a career-low 167-yard passing performance against a struggling Raiders defense. So, yeah, good time for a bye. Let your guys get healthy and healed, especially your quarterback. And, hopefully you come out of the bye with some of your guys back. You won't have Mike Williams back. He's lost for the season with torn ACL, which is a shame. But, again, hopefully you can get Herbert and Eckler back and Bosa as well. And, with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.